Franz, welcome to Director's Notes.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolute pleasure. I'm going to let you take the floor and please introduce yourself and the film we're going to be discussing today.
Thank you. My name is Franz Böhm. I'm a filmmaker originally from Stuttgart, Germany, moved to the UK when I was 18 and had the enormous pleasure and privilege of studying at the NFTS. And as part of my graduation program, obviously we all have to do a graduation film. And I directed Rock, Paper, Scissors and made this film together with a really amazing team. And it tells the true story of a young Ukrainian civilian who is getting caught up between the two front lines in the current war, in Putin's war, and has to make some really horrible decisions in order to protect himself and his loved ones. Again,
Yeah.
true story based film, very much inspired by the person who experienced all of this.
Yeah. I mean, we're not sort of going to give anything away, but when I was reading and, researching the film, so you met, is it Oleksandr, who
Yes,
Ivan, the character's based on?
exactly right. So the Oleksandr is the name of the amazing actor that portrayed Ivan.
Ah, right. I got all confused with my names this morning.
No worries at all. And yes, it's right. I've met Ivan during his military training in the UK. He was here, I think, for nearly 5 or 6 months before he got sent back to the front line in Ukraine. And yeah, we've met and we started building a conversation and a relationship very early on. And obviously, I asked him about his this wound that he had in his leg, and obviously if you see the film, you will know that this is what the story is centered around. And I was very impressed, firstly, by his age. He was 17 when we've met. And secondly, the by this insane story that I think is representative for so many um, experiences and so many stories and so many situations that are going on in Ukraine at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, and I loved what you said. I think it was in an interview. It's such a huge issue. It's such a huge subject. So just focusing on one person's story and that sort of intimate side of it. Did you go out looking for a story like this?
To be honest, not really. Not really. I mean, I was very open when it comes to my graduation film. I have to say that the war in Ukraine, because of many reasons, affected, I think, not only me, but many of our crew members a lot. And we were quite excited when we got our hands on that specific story. And I fully agree with what you just said there, because I do believe that especially now, I mean, we're coming to the third year anniversary of the start of the full-scale invasion. And keep in mind that there obviously the war has started much earlier. Um,
Mm,
and I do believe that as you know, that some members of our sort of public debate, it's difficult because you read about, okay, 2,000 soldiers have died in this city, or and I think some people develop this feeling that, okay, so in this war there are two militaries fighting against each other. And I think sometimes civilians tend to be forgotten in that conversation. And people, everyday people who are just trying to get by. And I think
yeah.
Ivan, again, the main source for our film, was very much a person like that. And it's all about chance. And I think the film's theme, it's all about the sheer luck that you need to have in order to survive. And um, even if you are super brave, or even if you are very smart and make sacrifices, that doesn't automatically mean that it's worth anything.
For you going into this, it's obviously it's huge. It's so personal to a lot of people. What 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 made you think that you were going to be able to tell the right story?
Well, firstly, we had a lot of conversations together, Ivan and myself, and I would say that it was actually not just me who told the story, but it was our whole team.
Yeah.
Actually very grateful. Our head of departments, let's say, our production designer Shivani or our DOP Sunshine. These were people who joined the project very early on and
Mm.
were very much involved in these discussions about how to approach this story. Obviously, where to film it, that's a whole different story. And what kind of respect we need for that story. I'm also immensely grateful. Ivan obviously also got a screenwriting credit, and that's only that's is obviously correct because we really wrote the script together and thought about the project together a lot. But you know, next to him, I'm also very grateful for the really generous and amazing support that we've received from the Ukrainian community, both in Ukraine but also in the UK and in
Mm.
Europe. That was really, really helpful for us, and I think helped us a lot when it comes to discussing specific cultural details and dialogue and the language. And I think authenticity was extremely important for us. And again, we are very grateful. For example, our costume designer Eva put immense effort in getting original military uniforms for both sides. That was again very important for us. And then again, our arts department, led by Shivani, did an absolutely amazing job in making sure that the inside of the bunker looks as authentic as anyhow possible.
Mm.
And again, I would say because we had that time to think about it, because we were not really, we picked the story and we didn't really have enormous stress right away. We were really able to look at a few locations, have in-depth discussions also with members of the post-production team, the editor Carmela, composer Martin, sound designer Bryony. They joined the project early on as well. So we were already speaking with them as well, which I'm very grateful for.
Yeah. And obviously, as you mentioned, this was part of your NFTS, final project. And again, those incredible details that, as you said, all fed into the authenticity. As we know, with graduate projects, you've got limits on budgets and time and everything. I was just so impressed with the world you were able to build within the restraints of, the school and the project.
Well, I mean, thank you for your kind words. Obviously, that's what we were hoping to achieve, to be completely honest. I will say two thoughts on that. Firstly, we were lucky because we had an amazing production team, most
Mm.
importantly led by Hader and Jade and Adriana, three amazing filmmakers who, again, understood the story and understood the vision for the project early on and were extremely helpful when it comes to scouting locations, securing locations, thinking very creatively of how can we make this work. You are absolutely right. We had a very limited budget for the project itself, but it was an amazing challenge. And I'm also extremely grateful. That's the second thought for the amazing support that we've received from the NFTS and the amazing tutors and staff there who were nothing less than first class when it comes to advising us and supporting us and making us aware of some of the things that we didn't really think about. And so I'm extremely, just very thankful for that sort of teamwork. And
Mm.
I think everybody played their part, and that led to a very efficient shooting.
Yeah. I mean, I want to get into the nitty-gritty of the shooting. Here at Director's Notes, we like to dig in. So the film is very much a world of two halves. You've got the half in the bunker, which I know you shot in London, and then the other half, which is shot in Wales. There's visually so different. Even the feelings, when you're watching, when you're in those worlds. How did that vision come across and having to split them, but then merge them together?
So absolutely right. That was part of the vision. And for the bunker, we not only had the statements and all the thoughts that Ivan himself had, but obviously we also did a lot of research. And
Mm.
I think the bunker for us, we were trying to create a very human space. You know, if you let humans in a space like this, they will create their tiny home in that.
Yeah.
Will make it quite cozy. They will make it they will try to make it as safe as possible. They are obviously speaking to each other. They are trying to heal the wounded. They're trying to support the children. And all of that were elements that we wanted to be seen in the bunker itself. So in a way, um, we also wanted this to feel like this could be pretty much anywhere. You know, this is not as obviously, yes, you could see some specific elements that were giving it away that we are in Ukraine, but still, I think from the feeling, we wanted to create something of like, okay, this is just like this could be pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
And then the outside world should really represent the war, and we wanted to have as we didn't really want to have any trees, and we wanted to have as much sort of industrial post-industrial landscape as possible, with like these destroyed things here and there, this sort of very rough area which is very very similar to the actual landscape where it happened. And then obviously something that Ivan kept telling us, and something that I believe we've heard from many different sources, these this constant hearing, this constant noise from these fighter jets that are flying overhead, where you never really know who do they belong to, what are they doing? Are they watching me at the moment? Have they seen me? Have you know? Um, and I think in that outside world, death should be just around the corner, and
Yeah.
every step is could potentially be your last. And again, we wanted to be as close as possible to the lived experience of so many Ukrainians who had similar situations.
Yeah, and I mean, you feel that, like you said, that landscape, the sort of like slate, that he struggles to run on.
Mm.
And then obviously that interaction with the soldiers. That for me, it was terrifying. It's truly terrifying. You've got some fabulous angles. Ivan's down on the floor, and then you're looking up at one of the soldiers, and then there's down to someone else, and then there's his POV. I just thought that whole setup was amazing.
I'm glad to hear. Glad to hear. Again, what I would say to that is it's very easy now for a director to say, yeah, was my idea. But actually, I have to say, what was extremely helpful for that whole project, obviously, we were shooting in Wales in a very remote area, no phone signal, no
Yeah.
electricity, and so on and so on. And we had a team that was very invested in the story and made a lot of stuff possible.
Mm,
I'm grateful for, Sunshine, the DOP, Shivani, Hader, the producer, myself. We went to these locations so many times, often accompanied by Jay, the production manager, or Will, our amazing first AD, who were looking at what I was trying to explain there. And we're probably thinking this guy is a little crazy, he's a little nuts. Also, we're thinking, okay, if we really want to do this, if we really want to see the soldiers coming over that bridge, then we obviously need to plan ahead and do this and this and do this and this. So I think I've rarely experienced a shoot that was so well prepared from the crew, from the team, and where often the team would would have ideas and would present specific ideas to me, where I was thinking, wow, this is amazing. These guys are thinking ahead,
mm.
this makes it easier. And this makes it easier. I like to run a very performance-centered set, and this makes it much easier for me to focus on working with the actors when I can just see that the AD team is currently already sort of looking ahead and trying their best to figure out possible solutions to challenges that we had.
Yeah. So everything was sort of shot listed and prepared.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm grateful also for the rehearsals that we were able to do. Obviously, I mean, the cast was such an honor to work with, and they were super invested in that film as well, very committed. Oleksandr, this absolutely stunning actor from Ukraine, I think was one of the best collaborations with an actor I've ever had so far in my short career. And I think the energy that the cast, also Sebastian Anton, the energy that they brought to the set and to their performances and to their work, then again inspired everybody on set and
Yeah.
contributed to a very positive team energy, I would say.
Yeah. And I mean, you being sort of, you're very early on in your career, you're doing fabulously, saying you're very performance led, and then working with someone like Alexander, who's got, I was looking at his IMDb, it's phenomenal. How was that relationship between you two, and how did the story develop from there as well?
We had a fantastic relationship, and it was it was his first time in the UK. If
Okay.
I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I'm right. So he came to this country, which most importantly is not at war at the moment. So that was for him quite a new feeling, first of all.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to say with that is, for many of these actors, this is not just a funny little project that you're doing on the weekend, where you're sort of looking forward to playing this crazy character. But obviously, it is a project and a story that hits very close to home. So we wanted to make sure that we or that I approach this whole collaboration with the right amount of respect and obviously the right amount of preparations. And
Yeah.
Alexander and I had and still have a fantastic relationship. He again is a very, very committed actor, and I'm grateful for also the ideas that he brought with him to this project. And I think he loves to get into the zone, and is is a no bullshit guy. And
Yeah.
when he's in the zone, then everything happens very fast, and you are creating work where I was just extremely proud of that. I was, being able to be a part of that. And sure, also the way how he interacted with his fellow cast members. I'm extremely grateful also for Milos and Yuri, that who were amazing members of our cast as well. And I have to say, I just have a lot of respect for him, especially that he was able to do such intense work whilst it was still ongoing.
Yeah.
And obviously, that's also something that we as a team were trying to protect as much as possible. So, we obviously at some point he just needed to call his loved ones at home and wanted to make sure that everything is okay. So it was a new experience for us to implement that into our filming process.
Because that was something that did, it came to my mind, like just imagining him playing this role, but knowing that it's happening.
Mm.
And I'm sure he knows people, and it was just something that was sort of, having read a bit more and found out a bit more, that was just so present. Even like, and that just came through his performance. Were you always looking for him specifically?
He was the first actor that we had approached. I had seen him in a couple of Ukrainian productions. Obviously, in Ukraine, I mean, he's an amazing actor, anyways. But in Ukraine, he's really also quite well known. And
Yeah, I saw his Instagram. He's huge.
yes, yeah, that too. And yeah, and obviously, again, it was quite a challenge to get a young man in service age out of a war-torn country for a film, for a student film. But I'm grateful that the NFTS and our team put a lot of effort into this. And then
That's why you need good producers.
absolutely, absolutely,
They give you the time to be the creative director.
absolutely.
Was there anything that because everything was so planned and shortlisted, was there anything during the shoot that came out that you had to change?
Well, I would say we wanted to be prepared as much as anyhow possible in order to then have a certain creative freedom on set. So there
Hmm.
were definitely ideas left, right, and center where we thought, actually, this and this and this makes a little bit more sense. Actually, we originally had the idea to do this over here, but now that we've seen the rehearsals, now that the actors have actually interacted with the location and with the props, actually it makes more sense to do it like this and this and this.
Yeah.
So, but again, because of that great preparation that we had, and because of a very, very, yeah, obviously a very efficient set, I would say, really led by Will Mayhew, our first AD, that enabled us sometimes to have these 10 minutes where Oleksandr would say, Franz, actually, let me pitch you something. Let me talk to you about something. Actually, this next scene, what if we, instead of doing it this way, let's do it this way. So
Hmm.
there were definitely some dynamic developments on set, but it was also always really helpful to have a fully prepared plan um, that we could always go back to. And I think that plan also made sure that we're not forgetting anything,
Yeah.
which obviously was important for us.
Yeah. No, that's so important. And I mean, how does it feel now with your BAFTA nomination? Which I just think it's so important. These awards not only celebrating great filmmaking, but keeping people's awareness on what's going on at the moment. There's so much in the world.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I do believe that also the story is quite universal in its core. It goes without saying that we are extremely grateful for this nomination. It was an immense honor. It was quite unexpected, to be completely honest. I obviously knew that we've qualified for it, but we didn't really.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just not really calculating or expecting it. We had an amazing festival journey so far, and are grateful for the festivals that have selected this film so far. It was a really nice journey, and it is an enormous honor to be nominated. I also do believe that that BAFTA have decided to also nominate um, or to put Ivan's name into that nomination, which I believe is a fantastic decision, and that
Yeah.
technically I do believe makes him the youngest BAFTA nominated filmmaker to to so far to the state,
That's
because
amazing.
obviously at the point of his death he was 18. Now he would have been 19, and that is a huge honor. We still have contact with some of the remaining people in his family, and they were, as you can imagine, they were beyond excited.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's important for on so many different levels.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure the NFTS is happy.
They are happy as well. Well, I mean, I have to say, again, this project really came from that environment and from this amazing creative protected environment, and I have a lot of respect that the NFTS, yes, sure, they've advised us, but they kind of they did provide us with a lot of freedom, and they let us do what we needed to do in order to make this film. And I'm grateful that I'm also happy for the other NFTS graduates who are nominated, and I'm happy that we were able to score this.
Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, here at Directors Notes, we speak to a lot of NFTS graduates. There's some incredible filmmaking that comes out of that. And your film was on our Best of Fest from the graduate show. And then Marbell, the editor, programmed it for Aesthetica. So safe to say we enjoy the film.
Thank you. Well, I mean, thanks for your support, and that obviously really means a lot, I have to say.
Where was your best festival? Where did you find the best audience?
Oh, um, I mean, again, we had a really, really amazing journey. I would just say that there were a few festivals where members of the Ukrainian community were able to see the film.
Mm,
And sometimes we've received a few letter-like emails, long emails with detailed thoughts on the film and on why this film is important. And I think that for us as a team really means a lot. Um,
yeah.
Receiving that kind of feedback, receiving these kind of thoughts, that really means a lot. And it's also always really amazing when people see the film and simply say, I didn't quite know about this, and this gave me a new perspective. And
Mm,
so I'm always happy to receive that kind of feedback. And I think all the festivals that we've been selected so far were really well organized and had amazing audiences. So it's difficult to pick one particular favorite, but I am grateful that many festivals in the UK have actually shown so much interest in this particular film, which I think is amazing, but it's also not, it shouldn't be taken for granted because obviously this film is not necessarily telling a purely British story, which I believe speaks volumes on how many UK festivals are actively looking for impactful stories from across the globe, and I have a lot of respect for that.
yeah. And I think it's testament as well to filmmakers and the filmmaking community that, that these are the stories that are coming out and that people want.
Absolutely, absolutely, well
Yeah.
said.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you very much for your time. It was an honor speaking with you, and have a nice start to the week.